100 grams of protein on a plant-based diet with no protein powder. I'm going to show you what 100 grams of protein looks like in a day. Popular concern for people who want to eat more plant-based or are on a plant-based diet and they're worried about where they're going to get their protein from. Well, first of all, let me reassure you that you can absolutely get all that you need nutritionally and all the protein that you need on a plant-based diet. Protein actually originates in plants, not animals. So animals eat plant protein and then humans get it as a second-hand byproduct when they're eating animal-based products. So you can absolutely get it firsthand from plant-based ingredients. Of course, you do need to be mindful and aware of some of the ingredients that have higher content of protein, making sure that you incorporate some of those food groups or ingredients into your meals. I'm going to show you what 100 grams of protein looks like in a day, but just keep in mind that this is a really big number that I've put so that it's kind of easy for people to adjust based on their specific needs. Just keep in mind that everybody needs a different amount of protein based on their body weight and their health goals. What I mean by that is that the average person, whether you're on a plant-based diet or you're on a standard diet, you need about 0.8 or 1 grams of protein per kilo. So let's say somebody is 50 kilos, you times that by 0.8, that's 40 grams of protein. Or if you're timing it by 1 gram of protein, that's 50 grams of protein for that person for the day, okay? Now, for the higher end of people that want to really have a high protein day, you time your weight in kilos by 1.4 or 1.6 grams of protein. But usually what I follow is I just try to organically incorporate ingredients in my main meals that contain ingredients that contain higher sources of proteins. It's actually much easier to hit your daily target organically, especially if you just want the recommendation and you're not looking specifically for high protein. So just keeping a few of these things in mind should be manageable. So let's go. So for breakfast, I'm making a scrambled tofu burrito. That's about 22 grams of protein. I have pressed my tofu. I'm using extra firm tofu. That's 100 grams of tofu, which gives you about 10 grams of protein. I have pressed it so it gives you a nicer texture when you're cooking it. I've heated my pan. I have heated my extra virgin olive oil. I've added the tofu. I'm crumbling it into the pan. You could certainly make them cubed or into like tofu steaks. I've sauteed it for a few minutes and then I added my seasoning. So I'm using paprika, garlic powder, dried oregano, and onion powder. And then I've also added nutritional yeast. So the nutritional yeast here, I'm using about a tablespoon. That's 3 grams of protein, and salt, of course. So I sauteed it for a few minutes. I have then added the black beans and also baby spinach to wilt. The black beans are about 3.5 grams of protein, and that's it. You've got the filling, the tortilla. I'm using whole wheat tortilla. That's about 4 grams of protein, and I added in the mixture and topped it with some tomatoes, onion, avocado, and this makes for 22 grams of protein. And now let's make lunch, which is smashed edamame on toast. Edamame is just really like amazing, like it's super high in protein. I'm using 100 grams of edamame. That is about 11 grams of protein. I've smashed it with a fork. You can also blend it if you want a more mashed consistency. I've then gone on to add Greek yogurt. This is soy-based, so that's about 2.5 grams of protein. I've added tahini, 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. That's about 7-8 grams of protein. I know it's one of those ingredients that really catch you off guard, like really great ingredient for extra protein, and it has a nice nutty cheesy flavor. I've also added the garlic and lemon juice and seasoning, 1 tablespoon of chia seeds, that's another gram of protein, 2 teaspoons of sesame seeds, that's about a gram of protein. Then I'm using 2 whole wheat sourdough toasts. That's about 4 grams of protein per toast. A great bread healthy option. There you have it. You've got smashed edamame on toast, giving you a nice 30 grams of protein. And for dessert, we're gonna make quinoa chocolate peanut butter Crispies. So this batch makes for 16 pieces. Each piece is 5 grams of protein. I'm using quinoa puffs. It's probably more of a new ingredient that's now becoming more popular. Quinoa is a source of complete plant protein. So I'm using 3 cups of quinoa here, and that's about 24 grams of protein. Then I've added a 1.5 cups of peanut butter, which gives me about 48 grams of protein. 1/3 cup of pure maple syrup, pure vanilla extract, a pinch of salt, and mix mix it really well. Then I transfer the mixture to a tray lined with baking paper, and I've pressed the mixture to kind of be a bit more dense and hold. Poured over it melted chocolate. Dark melted chocolate is about 5 grams of protein. Refrigerate. I would refrigerate it for a few hours. The chocolate doesn't take too long to harden, but you want also the peanut butter to kind of harden. It will hold together better. Cut it into 16 pieces. Each piece is going to give you 5 grams of protein. So now we're going to make dinner, which is chickpea stew served with quinoa, which is going to give us about 42 grams of protein. I start by heating the extra virgin olive oil in a small pot. Then I saute the onions and garlic, and then I have added the seasoning. So I'm using 7 spices, paprika, turmeric, bay leaf, also adding the nutritional yeast. That's giving me about 3 grams of protein for a tablespoon of nutritional yeast. Got tomato paste. I let that cook for a few minutes to release the oils and enhance the flavors of the spices. I've noticed here when I was making it that I got a bit dry, so I just added a dash of water. Then I added the bell pepper and kale. So the kale is really quite interesting because it's got about 2 grams of protein for the 1 cup of kale. Sauteed that for a few minutes. Then I added the chickpeas. I'm using about a cup of chickpeas. That's 15 grams of protein. Then I added the silken tofu, so blended silken tofu. I just used a whisk to mix it up, but you can definitely use a blender to get a more smooth consistency. I'm using half a cup of silken tofu. That's giving me 10 grams of protein. Water for the sauce. I brought that to a boil. Then I reduced the heat and allowed it to simmer to cook for like 5, 10, 15 minutes. And then once the stew is ready, I've served it with quinoa. I'm using a cup of cooked quinoa. That's 8 grams of protein. And then I sprinkle some cashews, about 1 tablespoon, a tablespoon and a half. That's giving me 2 grams of protein. And that brings us to a total of about 42 grams of protein. And there you have it. That's a full day of eating on a plant-based diet to hit 100 grams of protein. It's really not as difficult as you think. Just being kind of aware and mindful of some ingredients that have higher contents of protein that you can meet your target. I only ask that you keep the energy flowing and subscribe to my channel so my content can reach more people that can benefit from this video. On my channel, you're going to find a lot of health and wellness kind of content. So from healthy plant-based recipes to nutrition videos, so content about a healthy lifestyle, self-development, meditation recordings, and so much more. So make sure to subscribe and see you in the next video. Bye.